Hey guys, this is Kevin aka Kman1 coming at you with the next episode of Self-Sufficient Scape. Starting it off with some more Abyss rune crafting. I know, very original, very creative, but this inventory actually gets me to 75 rune crafting, which means I can now use the giant pouch. I'm not going to use it for this run because I don't feel like changing my bank preset right now, but I have 2 Abyssal Lurker pouches left, and when I'm finally doing those, then I will adjust my bank presets so that I can use the giant pouch. And effectively, I'd say it gives you 12 more essence per inventory, but because the sack takes up an inventory slot, it's really only 11 more essence per inventory. But that's about a 20% increase in golden experience per hour compared to my current setup. So very, very good stuff. That's a 1/5 increase for those of you who aren't very good with percentages. It's finally time to show the fruits of my labor. It feels so good. These are some daily runs. I've been stockpiling feathers. I like to stockpile some materials just so that I'm not tempted to waste the gold on stupid stuff. So I've been stockpiling the feathers, and they're worth just shy of 7 mil, that whole stack. So now I'm up to 23 mil. These cosmic runes right here is 10 hours of cosmic rune crafting. It's been interesting. I got from, if you look at my levels, I started at around 65 rune crafting, and I'm almost halfway to 77 now. So you can see what kind of experience you get from that. And realistically, you get about 7,500 cosmic runes per hour, from 50 to 75, well, I guess less at lower levels because you only get double cosmics at 59. But let's call it from level 60 to 75, you get about 7,500 per hour. And from 75 plus, because you get the additional pouch, you can get probably around 9,000 per hour. So right now they're going for 407. I'm just going to chuck them in for 400 each. And they're probably not going to sell instantly, but I'm hoping that they'll sell relatively quickly. But yeah, no, they're not going to sell instantly. They'll sell over time. I'm not too worried about it as long as they sell within the next 3 or 4 days. I don't know exactly when my membership's up. But even if my membership does expire, it's not that big a deal because cosmic runes are free-to-play items anyways, so I'd be able to sell them regardless. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and buy a bond. I'm pretty sure they're going for close to 17 mil now. Oh yeah, over 17 mil. I think I'm just going to chuck that in for 17 flat and let that slow by because I don't want to get scammed for 500k. And yeah, that's pretty much my monetary goals for the account for the near future. So from here, I'm going to be able to focus on other stuff, like, for instance, getting some quests done and training invention. Well, training skills so that I can unlock invention. The bond did buy for 17 mil, by the way, and the bond bought for 17 mil. And the cosmic runes sold for just shy of 32 mil, so I'm pretty pleased about that. I'll go ahead and chuck in 2 more offers for bonds. They sold for 17 mil, so I'll just see if I can get that to happen again, but only time will tell. I'm finishing up my big stack of gold bars. I got to 70 smithing, and I thought I might just be able to squeeze in 71, but unfortunately I'm a few bars short of being able to hit that. But fortunately, this does hit my goal of level 70 smithing for the purpose of using my protean bars. I've got 800 of them, and at 375 experience each, before boosts, that'll be a clean 300,000 experience. I don't know if portable forges can save protean bars. I think they might be able to, but I'm not 100% sure, and I'll have to test it in order to be sure. But even without that, if I've got a pulse core boost, and if I get bonus experience from the forge, that'll be like an extra 20% experience, so closer to 400k. Definitely not going to complain about that. I am looking forward to the gains. After I'm done with the protean bars, I'm probably just going to switch over to doing steel plate bodies, which is of course going to mean I'm going to have to grind money, but that's just the life we live. Also, the bonds did buy for 17 mil each, so I did not get scammed. And I will probably just go ahead and wait to redeem those until my membership runs out. I don't know why I prefer to do it that way, but it's just how I've always preferred to get stuff done. Anyways, I'm going to use these protean bars and I'll see you with whatever I decide to do next after this. I've been doing a little bit of safe cracking, and I will tell you the reason why in the future, besides just the fact that, you know, getting experience is the thing that you're supposed to do in your account. But it's not my favorite thing to do, but the experience is so crazy fast that it's kind of addictive in its own right. And it's now my highest skill by a pretty significant margin. I got 83 thieving compared to my next highest skill is magic at only 79. So, yeah, thieving, safe cracking is pretty good. I'm a fan of it. The reason that I want to do it is because there is an item that you can unlock with pilfer points called the Master Thief's Lockpick. It costs 2,500 pilfer points. And I know that I can go on to the next tier of safes, but I just want to go ahead and finish up this loot bag, and then I'll turn it in. And the reason that I want that lockpick is because I don't know for a fact how it interacts with the one really annoying chest in Desert Treasure, but if it makes it so that I either don't have to constantly rebank and get more lockpicks, or even that I just automatically pass it because my lockpick is indestructible, then I'm a big fan of it. Again, I don't know if it'll work, but if it does, then I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna be pretty stoked about that, in all honesty. Anyways, that is the purpose of me doing safe cracking. It's only gonna take 2 or 3 more loot bags in order to get that done. Less if I get lucky with these artifacts, but I'll meet up with you back when I am finally buying the Master Thief lockpick. I am finally able to buy the Master Thief's lockpick. 2,500 pilfer points. You get roughly in the vein of like 150 to 200 pilfer points per trip. Unfortunately, I got unlucky with my second to last trip, and so I had to go back in for like 3 or 4 more safes, but I got up to 85 thieving with the safe cracking to get up to the Master Thief's lockpick, and yeah, it feels pretty good. I don't think I'm going to add it to my tool belt yet, because I don't remember with the chest in Desert Treasure whether you can right click it to try and pick the lock, or whether you need to use the lockpick on it. So I'm going to wait, check that, and then I'll add it to my tool belt after that. I realized that after all the gold bars and protean bars, and actually not even all of the gold bars, but after a lot of them, I had over 68 smithing, which was the last level I needed for the Lumbridge achievements. There's no big benefit to upgrading this other than just being done with the achievement set, but it also does give you free casts of High Alchemy. I think 15 casts a day, I'm not entirely sure. So it's not terrible. It can be useful to keep around, but it's probably better to just stick with a better ring with more good stats. But hey, I'm not going to turn down free experience, which is basically the only reason to do task sets. So let me go ahead and dump this into agility for old time's sake, even though I'm pretty much going to be done training it once I finally hit 75. Yeah, I think from here the biggest thing to work on is just going to be quests. So I'll see you with whichever quests I decide are most worth my time to do. This is Temple of Ikov. It's a quick and easy quest, nothing really to worry about here. Just you need like a decent range level and Limport roots, and that's pretty much it. So, Temple of Ikov, that is one thing off the list on my way to Desert Treasure and ultimately Recipe for Disaster. Tourist Trap Quest, last one in the way of me finishing Desert Treasure. This gets you some decent experience in fletching or one of these skills. I'm throwing it into agility, obviously, because agility is the worst skill out of these to train. And so it's just shy of 10,000 experience. Pretty good stuff. You can also make darts, which is a slow but I think profitable smithing method, because adding feathers to dart tips is really, really good fletching experience. I don't know how good it is compared to broad arrows in RS3, which I know is also a really popular method. But it's not the worst thing out there. You're probably just better off picking a faster method though, or just doing gold bars. Something I forgot about is once you hit level 75 in one of the combat styles, or I think level 91 hit points, you get the Codex Ultimatus after beating the dig site quest, which unlocks 4 threshold abilities. Blood Tendrils, Smoke Tendrils, Shadow Tendrils, and Ice Asylum. I'm pretty sure most of these kinda suck, because they either like cost health or they can only be used when you're on low health. So, you know, I don't know. Look them up, decide if you think they're worth it to use. But for me personally, I'm good. I just want to say I'm in the middle of Desert Treasure, and the Master Thief's Lockpick does, in fact, work on the super annoying chest. So, just so you know, you can use that as a viable strategy. I'm glad I passed on that knowledge to you. Your mileage may vary on whether it's worth it to get 85 thieving before even starting Desert Treasure, but, you know, different strokes for different folks. I'm not one to judge, except when I am. Alright, I am finishing up Desert Treasure. It is a very iconic quest that unlocks, among a handful of other things, the ability to use the Ancient Magic spellbook. Are Ancient Magics useful? Sometimes. For Slayer and just general use, you're probably better off using either the standard spellbook or, for some cases, the lunar spellbook. There are some fringe training methods that utilize the Ancient Magic spellbook, but for the most part, unless I specifically need to use Ancient Magics, you can go ahead and expect that I'm going to be sticking to the standard spellbook. Also, I can finally activate the lodestone in the desert right here, which is cool stuff. I'm a fan of that. Makes traveling easier. It's useful for a couple of clue steps. But, yeah. And also you can buy an ancient staff from Eblis, the guy who you talked to during the quest. And I'm pretty sure it's profitable to buy them from him and sell them to the Grand Exchange, but not so much to the point that it's really worth it to use it as like a money-making method. I don't know. I'll let you know if I change my mind on that. Finishing up the bar crawl, which is not a quest, but it's a mini quest and it's required for the quest that's required for finishing Recipe for Disaster. So, also gives you access to the Barbarian Outpost and by extension, the Barbarian Outpost Agility course. This is worthless until a higher level where it's a complicated requirement. I saved you a lot of time and stress. So I'm here doing the Horror of the Deep quest, and a fun fact you might want to know about this quest is that the Dagonoth Mother is stupidly easy in RS3, thanks to Threshold and regular combat abilities. The way it's supposed to work is that in each separate color that she can have, you can only attack her with one particular combat style. However, that was designed for back in the old days where you could only attack a maximum of once every like 2.4 seconds, compared to now where you can just nuke constantly. So yeah. Also, fun fact about this quest, instead of saying you have completed the Horror from the Deep quest or whatever the normal text is, it says you have survived the Horror from the Deep. Not a big meaningful difference, but I mean, it's a cool piece of trivia if you're into that sort of thing. Something I should also mention, I mentioned God books back when I was doing the hard clue video, and basically you get them from this quest, and at first you can only pick Saradomin, Zamorak, or Guthix. I think I'm going to pick Saradomin because I don't know what extra bonuses it gives, but I want to have a Saradomin item for God Wars. So that's good. The reason I'm choosing Saradomin over Bandos or Armadil or Zamorak is because it's so much easier to come across those items because they actually give you like unique armor and stuff. But basically they act as an item affiliated with their particular god, and you can charge them with the pages that you get from clue scrolls and I think maybe a couple other sources I don't know entirely offhand. You can charge them with those books and they'll give you extra bonuses. I'll include a link in the description to an article that will describe all of their effects in great detail. I don't know them offhand, and I'm not going to research them to explain them one at a time. Witch's House Quest, this is one of those that they usually tell you that you should do right when you start your account, because it gives you a bunch of constitution, and by constitution I mean hit points. Speak after me. Hit points experience. But I forgot to, because there's just so many good quests to do when you're first starting an account that, like, it's impossible to keep track. You can't do it. It's impossible. I dare you to try. You could probably do it if you were smarter than I am. I'm finishing up the Shadow of the Storm quest. I forgot to record a clip for the previous quest in the series, the Golem. But they're both relatively short, easy quests. Just maybe need some combat equipment, and then you're pretty much good. And one thing to note about Agrith Nar is that in order to deal the final damage, you need to use the Silverlight Sword, and I'm wearing ranged armor, which makes things a little difficult, but it's not too terrible. Hopefully I'll be able to get a good hit in eventually. Unfortunately, Silverlight is not a very good weapon, so, you know, you just kind of gotta sit here until it finally takes an effect. But here we are, and that is the Shadow of the Storm quest. It'll be complete in a second. I'm gonna throw this into, let's throw it into range because it's my lowest main combat skill. So cool stuff. Got some Infernal Ashes, which I can scatter for some dank prayer XP, and on to the next thing. I'm back at Menaphos doing some fishing, and I think I'm going to go ahead and call the video here. I got most of the prerequisite quests for Recipe for Disaster finished. The only one I have left is Monkey Madness, which is a pretty easy quest. It just takes a while, and I don't quite have the gumption to do it before being able to get this video out. So I'm going to go ahead and call it here, and in the next episode I will finish Monkey Madness and then just knock out all of the Recipe for Disaster subquests one after another. Just as a matter of preference and how I want to do it. I'm also going to keep working on getting skilling and quest requirements for Craftiness. That's probably going to be the next of the 3 big goals that I established that I'm going to work towards, just because skills are expensive and I don't feel like spending the money to train crafting and smithing to higher levels. But I don't know. I'll have to decide between now and then. So with all that said, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I guess I will see you next time.